unless you eat your way through people that won't be noticed. Now, who do we have in our world that are unnoticed? Those that are unloved and lost?
Greetings, small one. Are you prepared to take up arms and destroy those who would stand against us?
Well, howdy. Nearly Senior Citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, a brand new day. A day in which my throat is getting rather sore. I've been coughing a lot, and if my voice sounds to me lower, of course, bone conduction and the sound traveling through water to my ears, but I've also got a drag and a burr in my voice that I can hear and feel. My throat feels sore. One of my housemates had been sick the previous couple days, so I'm hoping it's not that. Yay. But the sun is shining and we're supposed to get into the low 80s today, so thumbs up for that. But at least I have been sleeping when I finally fall asleep. I get to bed around midnight-ish, and then I'm up at around 5-ish from discomfort and pain. But at least I've been sleeping while I've been asleep, which I guess makes sense. And hey, front-loading of videos, if you could toss me a like if you like what you hear and see, that'd be cool. If you could subscribe to the channel if you like what you hear and see, and you haven't subscribed already, that would be awesome. If you could leave me a comment, that would be double plus good. I read them all and try to answer as many as my executive dysfunction will allow. And of course, I'd like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons, these literally beautiful and literally awesome people who help to keep me and my pets alive. They can't speak English, that they're not human, but I can speak English for them, and they would be very appreciative and very thankful. Thumbs up, thank you very much. If you would like to help me survive and keep my pets alive as well, there are links to my Patreon in the video description and the show more. There's also, if you'd like to help me out without becoming a patron, a PayPal link, and if you'd like to help me out without sending my cats over there digging now. If you'd like to help me out without sending money at all, I have an Amazon wish list with stuff like cat food on it, so thumbs up on that. Well, son of a gun. Yes, indeed. I did not do much yesterday. I took my Wellbutrin in the morning and then forgot to take my afternoon dose entirely. Again, for the second day in a row. So my ADHD has not been taken care of adequately and properly, and of course it's my fault. I didn't take it, and I should have, but life is life. So hey, at least I am existing, and that's still good. I took it this morning, so at least I'm getting some effect from it. And I can even, there we go, that's English, I can even remember what I was thinking about last night, largely when I was out on walkies, because I think about largely the creative stuff when I'm out on walkies, because there's nothing else to do. So to keep my mind entertained, I work on that primarily as I'm going walkies. I think about it at night when I get home after walkies and before I'm going to bed, and I think about it during the day, but the bulk of it is toward the latter part of the afternoon and evening. So thumbs up on that. But I did, of course, the usual walk up to Walmart and Walmart back, and walk back a 6-mile round trip that I do in 2 hours. Not 2 hours, which is 3 miles per hour, or 4 kilometers per hour if you do metric. And I do that at that speed per hour, so it takes 2 hours, 20 minutes per mile to get to Walmart, and then 20 minutes per mile to walk back. It's a long distance, especially when you're carrying a lot of stuff in your backpack. Hokey smokes. But that's a good thing. I also found out, just as a really quick thing, that one of the things that happens when you eat food, and especially this involves like when you eat a lot of sugars, which if you eat a diet in America, you eat a ton of sugar. But your liver converts sugars first into glycogen, and it stores glycogen in itself, but it only stores about 100 grams of it. But your muscles also can store glycogen, and they can store about 100 to 200. But when you put on muscle, lean muscle from exercising, you of course increase the amount of muscle that you have, which increases the amount of glycogen you can store. And because you're working more efficiently, you can store more as well. You can more than double the amount of glycogen your body stores in its muscles, which is important because your liver, after you can no longer store all the glycogen, just converts it into fat after that, which is one of the reasons sugar is so bad for you, because your body has to turn everything into sugars. You have to expend energy to turn food into sugars. But sugar requires zero processing. It's all just straight calories right into your body immediately that your liver starts converting into fat. If you exceed the, oh, I got an itchy spot there. Hopefully it wasn't a tiny little bug. With the window open 24/7, 365. Well, I mean, I shut it when it's hot and when the weather is really terrible. But, bugs coming in, yay. But with all of that, your liver doing stuff and sugar just being no processing, all calories, yeah, it goes straight into fatty tissue, largely, which is one of the reasons it's so bad. When you eat non-processed foods, you have to expend energy to process it yourself because you have to pick it. That's part of processing it. You have to wash it. You have to cook it if you're going to cook it. You have to chew it. This is all processing the food so that your innards can take care of it. If you don't do that, it's not going to work as well. But all of this expends energy. So you are replacing as well the energy that you use to process the food so that you could digest it to get the energy out of it. And you don't have that with sugars. It goes straight from sugar form. And that's one of the big reasons it's so terrible. Yay. But, yay on that. I'm going to talk some here about, let me take a look on my list here. Yes, indeed. It's more of the creative stuff. I've been really fixating on the cryptid setting of Brookerton, South Carolina, which is the setting I have been using for my whole inside-outside thing, which they are the same, the cryptid setting and that setting, just they are two sides of the same coin. But the stuff that I've been thinking about here, I got to keep looking down because not having taken my Wellbutrin yesterday, my mind and my ADHD is more out of control. I have mentioned that there is, cryptids do what they do, and working within your nature as a cryptid individual is a pleasurable feeling. If you work within your nature, it's not big and overt. You don't get a big burst of, oh my gosh, I feel great. No, it's you feel normal when you are acting within your nature. It is not a special burst of happiness or anything. So that when you're working against your nature, you don't feel good as a cryptid. But there is pleasure within being a cryptid. It's not all horror because I just fixate on the negative cryptids, but there are neutral and positive cryptids, and when they act within their nature, there is pleasure in that as well. So it's not bad being a cryptid individual. You have to live within your programming, yes, and some people have heavy programming, and some have light programming. The people that I'm talking about and working on in my setting right now are individuals who all have very light programming. There are some that I'm talking about in this whole setting and area who are 13th kind of cryptids, where you don't even have any cryptid programming. You have a straight human mind in your cryptid body. So there are lots of individuals that have a ton of programming. Oh, there's a tiny bug. And then some who have absolutely none. And so I'm fixating on those who have none. The like with King Mike of Paul Pot Park. Obviously, he would have not. When I say obviously, I don't mean that as you should have seen this. It's talking about, for me, it's if Big Mike is doing this, then in my setting that I have had to determine, for me, obviously, he would be a low programming or next to no programming cryptid individual. So, I just wanted to make sure that there was no offense meant on the whole obviously thing, because that's for me and my planning, not in a, you should have picked this up, because how could you? You're not in here. So, there is joy, there is pleasure, there are the negative cryptids, there are the positive cryptids. Some of the things that I wanted to talk about is one thing that's very unpleasant, but it would happen, I imagine. Since there is a rather high negative cryptid population in Brookerton, and these negative individuals have to take care of their programming. Some of them are able to deal with it in light ways, some of them not. Some of them, like Reginald, who's this werewolf, they deal with very little programming, but they're also individuals. Because Reginald doesn't just eat because he has to. He needs to devour one person every month. But they are not an expressed cryptid. Their parents were werewolves. They are a werewolf. If they have children, their children will be werewolves. He didn't express from a human being. But he still also eats from boredom, for flavor, periodically. And I want to work this in. Somehow I'm trying to hook it into the whole kaiju situation with the rampage through Apple Rock on the Apple Rock layer of the Razor's Edge, where he also eats for comfort, and human beings are his whole go-to comfort food. There's a lot of stress going on, which is what I'm trying to hook it onto. Not sure if it's going to work, but I will figure out some way where there's a lot of stress going on. And yeah, Reginald deals with stress by comfort food eating. And so having Jerry, who's befriended Reginald, is having to deal with, as a human being, Reginald's been eating a human being every day. But wondering, Reginald, how are you doing this without worrying about the authorities coming down on everything and everyone? Because it doesn't matter if there's 1 million people in a town or less, city. If you lose 30 people, over a span of a month, that's going to be noticed. Unless you eat your way through people that won't be noticed. Now, who do we have in our world that are unnoticed? Those that are unloved and lost, broken, fallen through the cracks? Oh, there's a large homeless population in Brookerton, just as there's a large homeless population through a large part of the United States. And as Reginald points out, yes, he's been eating his way through the homeless population quite a lot lately, and he needs to cut down on that because, even though he's only eaten a small number of them, it is over a significantly short period of time, and that's not healthy for the population. But they're eating their way through the homeless when largely the cryptids eat the homeless first. Because normal people, oh boy, did I just point out a bit of ableist thinking there. Homed people who live in any sort of home environment generally don't care about what happens with homeless people around them. They just tend to not want homeless people in the area. So when homeless people start vanishing, so there's less of them, people with homes don't go, gosh, where did they all go? The feeling is more, wow, fewer homeless around. I wonder where they moved to without caring a bit about the answer. They don't know or care what happens to the homeless. They only care that the homeless aren't there to be seen. And this is true of reality right now. The fictional part is In Brookerton, they don't know, nor would they likely care, that the homeless aren't moving any place but inside the bellies of the cryptid population. Yeah, it's unpleasant to think about, but they feed on the homeless first before they start. Oh, God's above. I wish these tiny bugs would not fly in through the window, but I live right next to a forest. There's forest blocks everywhere in Shelton, and they put houses around them so that your tons of houses are like in forests. But because of that, forest areas, especially in the summertime, are bug factories. And boy, do they come in through my open window. But without the open window, I would burn up, and my kitty cat would never be able to go in and out. She's sitting in the window right now watching the world go by. So thumbs up on that. But yeah, they chew their way and eat their way through the homeless population first before they start working on anything else. Reginald is a little different on that, to try and keep up the whole mystique of who he is amongst the local populace. He also works in a few low-power cryptids into his diet periodically, just to keep people guessing. And of course, I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab. I'm going to go through and thank however many people have left me comments in the past 24 hours. If I mispronounce a username, no disrespect is intended, and even though I count in American Sign Language, well. So, we have Jesse Koskinen, always good to see you in the comments. Very, very cool. And Zach Meyer, thank you very much. Adrian, greatly appreciated. And I wish my kitty cat would sleep on my bed with me more often. She's old and set in her ways, and she's very independent. So, I mean, I can't even pick her up unless she lets me. But good to see you in the comments. We have Big Rob, thumbs up, thank you very much. There's Insignificant Nick, thank you very much for the kind comment, and good to see you. We have Ben B, always good to see you in the comments as well. Colin Reisenauer, thumbs up and thank you. We have nobody else. There were 7 people in the past 24 hours who left me comments. Thank you very much, each and every one of you. You get me out of my head and into the world and dealing with real people, if only in text and if only for a short time. And of course, with my last 2 game videos being no commentary because I forgot to make sure my microphone was working. I can't expect many people to have any comments on those at all. I don't blame them. Anyway, though, I got a lot of phone calls I'm going to try and make today, so here's hoping I can get those done. If you've got things to do, hopefully you can get those done as well. Don't beat yourself up if you can't. Don't beat yourself up. It won't change a thing. You're only going to make yourself feel bad, and that won't help. And of course, with the covfefe bug a-raging here in the United States, it is still raging. People are still getting sick. People are still dying. So please, be appropriately smart for your situation and area. You don't need to throw your body, you don't need to throw anybody else's body onto the end-of-life corpse pile before you have to. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is a very good thing.